E3 is almost here, the Super Bowl of video games. All of the developers and publishers, both big and small, come together once a year to shower gamers with an abundance of gifts in the form of reveals and gameplay. As a reminder, while it's fine to be excited about what's to come for this year, we'll need to keep our hype levels in check. With that said, there's a lot to discuss about this year's E3, from anticipated titles to rumors and potential world premieres, so I'll only focus on games that I'm looking forward to. I'll be splitting this video into 4 sections: anticipated titles, rumored titles, predictions, and a wish list. Don't worry, all these parts will be in this video. To start things off, here's my anticipated list of games in no particular order. Now, I had a long history of loving the Halo series ever since my cousins introduced Combat Evolved to me when I was a kid. From Halo 3 onwards, I became a fan. Ever since Bungie left the Halo series to work on the Destiny series, Halo hasn't reached the peak that its predecessors hit. Halo 4 had an emotional campaign but a lackluster multiplayer experience. In contrast, Halo 5's campaign was disappointing, while the multiplayer is the best in recent years. Admittedly, I was one of the weird people that enjoyed the movement of Halo 5 Guardians. I felt that the flow of combat was a natural evolution of the Halo formula. If the trailer for Halo Infinite is any indicator, it seems that 343 Industries is capturing what made Halo great in the past. Since this is one of Microsoft's flagship series, I expect to see gameplay of both the campaign and the multiplayer. Doom 2016 was one of my favorite games in recent memory. The sheer speed of the game, the weapon selection, the enemy and environment designs, and of course, the music is what made the game for me. What more can I say other than it's freaking badass? Doom Eternal seems to be an extension of the first game and more, based on the gameplay footage shown last year. While I'm certain more information will be discussed at Bethesda's E3 event, there doesn't appear to be a multiplayer mode outside of this invasion mode. I am saddened to see the Snap Map feature not returning, because I saw it as a way to create custom game modes with friends, sort of like Halo Reach and their Forge mode. What I'm expecting from this game is a release window for this fall. Regardless of anyone's opinions, Final Fantasy VII is a legendary RPG that has become a cultural icon in the gaming community. Ever since its first appearance in the PlayStation 3 tech demo in 2005, many die-hard fans wanted a remake of this classic game. When Final Fantasy VII Remake was announced in 2015, it was like the world exploded in joy, and many of the fans turned into kids again.
Yes! Play it first!
After waiting for many more years, Final Fantasy VII Remake will receive more information at this year's E3. I don't own a PS4, but I can't wait to see what the developers have in store after all of these years. I'm hoping that the game comes to Xbox or PC at a later date. Respawn Entertainment has made a name for themselves in this console generation. They are the developers of the Titanfall series, and they recently released a free-to-play title that was able to compete against a juggernaut like Fortnite for a bit, Apex Legends. To tackle a game with a license as large as Star Wars is a huge honor. Given that this is published by EA, I will keep my excitement in check for this title. For too long, the publisher has proven that they are unable to produce fantastic results with the Star Wars license since 2015. This is on top of becoming one of the most hated companies in recent years, releasing many disappointing titles and adopting predatory business practices that are anti-consumer. With that said, what was shown and said about this game seems promising. Unfortunately, I can only judge this game as soon as we hear more information about it. Cyberpunk 2077 is another long-awaited title from the critically acclaimed developer CD Projekt Red. After watching the E3 trailer and the extended gameplay demonstration, I am more than on board with what the game has to offer. According to the developers, this next gameplay trailer will look different compared to what was shown last year. I can only imagine what the game looks like with a year of development time. I'll admit, I wasn't too keen on Death Stranding when I first saw the announcement trailer back in 2016. The footage that was shown, along with the subsequent trailers in the following years, were too vague for me to understand. However, the recent trailer that dropped, which resulted in a rewrite of this script, has made the game's premise much clearer. Granted, it's not by much, but I feel more comfortable in giving this a chance than previous years. Disclaimer: all of these games that appear on this list are considered to be rumors and not confirmations. Therefore, expectations must be kept in check. I will only cover games that have a better chance of becoming real based on what kind of evidence is out there. Splinter Cell is one of the fathers of the tactical espionage genre, alongside other series like Siphon Filter and Metal Gear. The last game in the series, Splinter Cell Blacklist, released in 2013. Since then, fans were expecting a sequel on the new generation of consoles. There are rumors that suggest a new Splinter Cell game is in the works. The CEO of Ubisoft has gone on record saying that they haven't forgotten about the series, explaining that the publisher already has a lot of other games in the works, such as The Division and Ghost Recon. Recently, Julian Garrity, sorry if I butchered your name, the Ubisoft creative director, posted on Twitter that a new Splinter Cell game is currently in development. However, Ubisoft later confirmed that the director is only joking. Now, we've had other deconfirmations like this, only to be confirmed during E3. The only way to know whether or not Ubisoft is lying is tuning in to their press conference. Since the release of Resident Evil 7, Capcom had a running streak of video game releases. Well, except for the obvious. Monster Hunter World, Resident Evil 2, and Devil May Cry 5 managed to be critical and commercial successes. After a string of disappointments, it appears that Capcom might be going through a redemption arc, attempting to rectify the damage done in the past. So, where do they go from here? According to Capcom, they have multiple projects that will be running on the RE engine, most likely referring to next-generation titles. But we probably won't hear about them until next year, the earliest. What about this year? The only known project they're working on is an expansion to Monster Hunter World. Rumors about what other games Capcom are working on range from a new Dino Crisis title, a Darkstalkers game, and Dead Rising 5. Only one of these titles have a real chance of becoming real. A new entry in the Darkstalkers series was announced a long time ago, but was never mentioned again ever since. The last Darkstalkers related game to come out was back in 2013, Darkstalkers Resurrection, an HD remaster of the final two games in the series, which unfortunately sold poorly. Despite what the reveal trailer said, I think Darkstalkers is truly dead. Speaking of something that's dead, Dead Rising 5 was actually in development after the fourth game shipped. Due to poor sales and reception, the development studio Capcom Vancouver shut down in September 2018, effectively canning the sequel. If there ever was a sequel in the works after the studio shut down, it would need to be at a smaller scale. With that said, Dino Crisis is most likely going to be the next game Capcom's working on. There seems to be interest in continuing the franchise when a Twitter post answered a question regarding a new game in the series with, "if a lot of people wish." It's unknown at the time of writing the script whether this game is a remake like Resident Evil 2 or a full-blown sequel. The developers of the critically acclaimed Batman Arkham series, Rocksteady, are working on a mysterious title after Arkham Knight released in 2015. Many names were thrown around like a Superman game, a game based around Suicide Squad, a Batman game based around the Court of Owls story arc, and a game rumored to be titled Batman Outlaws. Some of these titles can be deconfirmed right off the bat. According to a tweet made by a studio director, Rocksteady is not working on a Superman game. WB Montreal, the studio that released the prequel Arkham Origins, is rumored to be developing the Court of Owls game. This leaves either a Suicide Squad game, Batman Outlaws, or something out of left field, a completely new IP. Halo Infinite will become a dual-generation launch title. The game will release on Xbox One and serve as a launch title for the next Xbox. Kind of like how Nintendo handled the release of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Considering this is Xbox's flagship title, I'm certain there will be a large amount of stage time dedicated to Halo. Fable 4, or the next Fable game, might make an appearance in some form. Most likely a teaser and a next-generation title, but not necessarily within the launch year. As far as I can remember, the Forza series has made an appearance in every single Microsoft press conference, switching between the Motorsport series and the Horizon sub-series since 2011. Normally, it would be safe to assume that Forza Motorsport 8 will show up this year. I have reason to believe that it won't be the case. Here's why. As of writing this list, the final Forza Horizon DLC expansion has yet to be announced and released. Instead of Motorsport 8, we might see a trailer for the Horizon 4 expansion. The next Motorsport title will most likely appear next year as a next-generation launch title. At least one of Microsoft's newly acquired studios will announce a new game under the Xbox brand. I'm betting that Ninja Theory will be the first studio. The last game they released was Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice in 2017. Other studios have released their games within a year or will release this coming year. Given that Sony has released a bit of information regarding the PlayStation 5, I believe Microsoft will announce their next-generation Xbox with very limited information, perhaps briefly mentioning the specifications of their new systems. It will serve as a teaser for another event or next E3, when they will reveal all the information about the next-generation consoles. This, along with the PlayStation 5, will release in fall 2020. Final Fantasy VII Remake will release Episode 1 in early 2020, the earliest. Episode 2 will appear on PlayStation 5 with a bundle that contains both episodes at a later date. Beyond Good and Evil 2 will show gameplay and a release window of fall 2020, though I'm willing to bet that this might only appear in next-gen consoles. Another classic title will be given the Crash Bandicoot treatment and released on modern platforms. I'm unsure what we can expect, but perhaps a remake to Metal Gear Solid 1. The next Smash Bros. DLC character will be revealed before E3 2019. My choice is either Banjo-Kazooie or Sub-Zero from the Mortal Kombat series. Though, I think the most likely scenario might be Steve from Minecraft or a Dragon Quest character. The one out there wishlist item I want to come true is being able to play original Xbox games online. With Xbox talking about preserving classic games in the past, I hope that the Xbox Live features can be accessible in some form. I mean, imagine playing the classic Battlefront games on Xbox One with players on original Xbox and 360. What are you excited for in this year's E3? Leave a comment below. There are several announcements I want to make as well. I'll be live tweeting the press conferences over E3 weekend. For what seems like a twist of fate, I'll be attending the Xbox E3 briefing. It's surreal that I'm able to do something like this. For a decade or so, my dream was to be able to attend E3 in some fashion. Now, that dream has turned into reality. If you're attending the Xbox E3 briefing, feel free to say hi when you get the chance to see me. I'll let you know if I'll be able to post my reactions during the briefing. Please follow me on Twitter for that and other things I post and share. This has been Opez Gaming, signing out.